Our next reader is Miriam O'Nea.
I'm with Mark. It's nice to be back in this room. I grew up in Plymouth, so I remember when it was the library. And there was a second floor over there, and you could get your Nancy Drew right upstairs. And Cherry Ames, private duty nurse. She was hot. I was fortunate enough to participate in the Poet Laureate competition back in 2020, just before the world shut down. And we were each asked to, the finalists were each asked to write a poem about Plymouth, with a Plymouth theme. And some people wrote historical poems and pilgrim poems and Cordage Park poems, and I wrote about Woolworths. And I would like to reprise this poem because I think it's a lot of fun. It's called Plymouth. It's a true story, too. Plymouth, snapshot with birds. A man walks into Woolworths on a day in spring. I say walks when I could say totters, his uncertain forward motion, like a man who's spent long months at sea. I'll say that year spring was slow in coming. Crocuses considered blooming, then snugged back in their beds of mulch or disappeared into the grass where voles and mice had hidden them last winter. I say Woolworths, which those of a certain age and years of residence will remember, once anchored a block of Main Street. My sisters and I sipped Cokes, a little flat, too sweet, the kind mixed out of tanks under the counter, then served in thick-ribbed glass with straws with accordion tips. From red vinyl-covered stools, we could see almost everything on offer. Crates of Rachel's Cream discount makeup in numbered shades of beige and ivory. Sagging bolts of polyester house dress materials along the wall next to racks of carded buttons and spools of thread. And down the center, pots and plastic that all reflected the fluorescent glare of lights, some winking due to loose connections, some droning loose connection tunes. And down back, the home of minor household tools, 3-in-1 screwdrivers, picture hooks, spatulas, serving spoons. To our left, the plate glass window, where beyond, Plymouth wandered west towards Puritans, north to Smith's, and east to Toby Hardware and the USPO. And south, invisible to customers at Woolworth's, the hulk of Burial Hill. And to our right, the favorite aisle, the rows of cages, tanks, and aquaria, home of hamsters, fish, and turtles along the wall, and above them, songbirds, canaries, parakeets, and doves in ones and pairs, white or brilliant yellow, green and china blue, their little curved beaks biting at the wires that caged them. Their noise, not a true singing, more a quiet screech, their little talons curled then uncurled on each perch, while we twirled on our seats in our school uniforms, catechisms stuffed in book bags, knee socks sagging, when the man walked into Woolworths, or better said, he lurched. The weighted door closed quietly behind him. April's chill followed him in, and when he turned and tottered toward us, we turned our backs to face the fountain and listened to the whistle of his raincoat and the whistle of his raincoat as he passed, and his muttering. Then Commotion in the small pets aisle as one by one he flung the cages wide, and the birds, startled out of resignation, took their chance and bolted for the ductwork overhead, where they filled the air with chirps and whistles as their savior flapped his arms. "Go free! Go free!" The clerk, who kept an eye on kids who had no money, left his station, and the manager, hearing the noise, yanked open his office door to watch as songbirds swooped and pooped in flight and soared and chatted happily. And we stared dumbfounded at the audacity of the man who walked into Woolworth's and released its birds. Or should I say, he tottered. Or should I say, he lurched. Or should I say, he understood the impulse in each one of us to be free. So I'm just going to read one other poem, because that was a long poem, and it's a bird poem too. I'm a bird sort of crazed person. This is a list poem you'll hear. It's called Little Consecrations, and it's in my book, The Half-Said Things. A plague of grackles, a clutter of starlings, a scold of blue jays, a chirm of finches, any kind, a rafter of turkeys, a ubiquity of sparrows, an echo of mockingbirds. Isn't that cool? An echo of mockingbirds. A drum of goldfinches, a bobbin of robins, a hover of hummingbirds, a charm of housefinches, a chime of wrens, a dissimulation of chickadees, a blessing, a hermitage, a beatitude of bluebirds, a sky. Thank you.